plugged. And therefore, I have no reason to say anything more than what even the minister himself acknowledged. But we will be very, very glad if this project is taken more seriously by even the leaders themselves at the state and local governments. Sir, I want you to go back home with this impression that the NIPP Banana project is the smallest project in the entire NIPP power stations that you have in this country. It's 225 megawatts only, but is capable of generating up to 675 megawatts because unlike other places, the gas is readily available to fire up to 1,000 megawatts. We will be very, very glad if the second phase of the project, as compared to the challenges mentioned by the current contractor, is given to another contractor who will be serious to provide the additional 450 megawatts plus the steam turbine that is going to create efficiency and reduce environmental impacts. My request, therefore, is that the need for us to reduce power in this state is clearly provided already by the natural gas that is existing in this place. We have spare capacity of over 1 million standard cubic feet of gas ready since 2010. Whereas there are some power stations that are being planned that do not have the feedstock to fire them. Please, what is your take on the issue of increasing capacity for the NIPP in Bayelsa State? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Back. By the virtue of my office, I've been to several ministries in Abuja and are taking a tour of projects cited by different federal and ministries. But one factor has been militating.
Honorable Minister for Information and other very distinguished members of the entourage, very senior officials of the state government, distinguished audience, our traditional rulers, ladies and gentlemen. The day is fast spent, And the minister has been on his toes since he got into BAYELSA yesterday. And there are also other events lined up for the evening. First of all, I want to congratulate the minister for coming with this idea that we need to showcase what government is doing, and in the process identify areas of shortcomings so that we all learn and move forward. But before I go to what government will say on our side, I want to answer some of the questions posed to me representing the governor. I've been with the governor, I've been with the system, so I should be in a position to answer most of the questions, queries raised. First, the governor has always said that the wealth of these states is in the sea. First question. And we want to know the economic benefits of the sea to BAYELSA. The sea is where we go for harvest and we for land use. BAYELSA state stand at the center of gravity of oil production of this country. If you go offshore BAYELSA, you have very, very rich fishing ground, shrimps and all the rest. Again, the sea lines of communication, the Europe and even South Africa and even America pass through BAYELSA state. And above all, the Gulf of Guinea area is known as the oil chest. So if you are located in such an area, it is just natural. You try to bring all facilities, all opportunities to exploit the resources of the place. And that is why we are planning to hit the coast in 3 fronts: the Kolama, the Age, and the Brass axis. And besides, the LNG, a mark for brass, is an area that expands the business, economic opportunities for those areas. That is why we want to reach the Atlantic in 3 fronts and be active participants in the exploitation of these resources. Passion for a job ministry. Whether other ethnic nationalities will be alienated now, we have the passion for a job nationality within the context of the federation we have all sworn to belong. There is nothing wrong in having an identity. There is nothing wrong in bringing healthy competition. But again, like we have identified, we have been shortchanged in a few areas. So we need to make our cases known. We need to rally our people around, so we stand to speak in one voice. And besides, the Ijaw language is going down. And this is not applicable to only the Ijaw language. We want to make sure that the Ijaw language is a living language. We teach it in our schools, and it's through this ministry that we are going to achieve that. Death penalty. It is right. We have a governor that has been a policeman, a lawyer, commissioner, justice, a lawmaker, and now a governor. But he said, if you within yourself plan to go and take an 80-year-old woman as an object of trade to make money, you don't deserve to be a man. You don't deserve to live. Remember, there are various stages of development in countries. The fact that death penalty is rejected in some areas does not necessarily mean that you can transplant that idea totally into our own environment. Those areas respect human life. So the thinking is that if you don't respect human life, your life also do not need to be respected. We've read challenges in the papers when the boats were bought and launched. The fear is whether Bayelsa State will use it. Gentlemen, as I stand, I have no authority to carry arms. Since I left my uniform, I cannot carry arms. Bayelsa State is not buying boats that Bayelsa indigenes will use. Bayelsa State is not going to arm those boats. The arming of boats is a federal responsibility. These boats are bought because of the security challenges we have within our territory to assist the law enforcement agents to carry out their duties. It is the duty of the appropriate federal agencies responsible for carrying arms to arm those boats and use. We are not going to use them. Talking about coat of arms, anthem and the rest, it is not common to Bayelsa State, and the law allows us, if you have your state flag, what the law says is that when you hoist it, it should be lower than the federal flag. There is a provision for it. You commit an offense when your flag flies higher than the federal flag. There is nothing that we've done that is out of the law. Agri-potentials, several agri-potentials. If we have had meetings in these states, before this time, it has always been on agriculture. Our desire is to make sure that Bayelsa State should be identified with at least one product, that anytime you see the product in the market, you will remember Bayelsa State. Several plans are in place, but within the time that we've been in position in government, it is not possible to achieve all. But by the time this year of consolidation that is following comes up, you will see all that. The ecosystem and illegal refineries, we are more concerned than you are. The environment is totally polluted, particularly due to the activities of illegal refineries. First, we encourage those who are engaged in these activities to find other ways of sustaining their living. We also encourage their collaborators, particularly foreign companies that buy this oil, to desist from that. Oil is not a ghost. Where they are going, the international community knows. So please, let's join hands to talk to our children, our brothers and sisters, that there are better ways of making a living than going to illegalities. Free education, whether we can sustain it. One of the first committees we set up in Abuja, even before the election, was the Education Subcommittee, headed by Professor Isong. We carried out a very critical analysis of our student population. We conducted research on the cost per student, and we came to the conviction that we can sustain it. The planning isn't completed because of infrastructure on the ground, but we feel with management, good management of resources that are within our disposal, we can sustain it and we go beyond what we are doing. You may recall that we've awarded several overseas scholarships for master's and postgraduate and PhD degrees to make sure the capacity of our people is developed to compare or compete favorably at the federal level. Transparency briefing. Is it a play or not? I can't think of any governor, not only in Bayelsa State, that has come up every month to face his people. This is the money I received from the federal government. This is how the money came in. These are the deductions. This is the amount I use in paying my politicians. This is the money that go to service debt. These are the projects. This is much I'm spending on project, and this is remaining. I think this needs commendation rather than observation like that from the governor. We promised right from day one transparency and accountability. And build on house, I think it came from somewhere in the US, haven't laid the foundation for the development of critical infrastructure. One of the major plans for this year is massive investment in buildings. As far as the government is concerned, one of the major plans for this year is massive investment in building. We're going to launch a new university. Maybe June, July, thereabout, we are going to launch a new university. The plans are almost completed, and those are things that we are going to see. Taxing of people. Generally, we must accept that we don't want to pay tax in Nigeria. We don't like being taxed, but we always will say taxpayers' money. You can only say taxpayers' money when you are paying tax. The internal generated revenue in these states is so low that if we neglect any of the opportunities legally available to us to collect taxes, must be depending only on allocation. Whatever we are going to do, whatever tax we are going to collect will be within the law, and you are free to ask us what we've done with your tax money. So taxes will be paid, but it will not be outside the law. This issue of weigh-in, areas of 18% minimum wage and the rest, there had to be delay because of the number of ghost workers that were observed when we came in. But the committee is working on it, headed by the head of service, to advise government on the correct number of workers that are due for this entitlement. Once that is done, I'm sure the governor will approve. Oil companies' employment and those we have sent outside to train. I am a strong believer on level playing ground for anybody. If we have sent you out trained because you are an ex-militant, when you come out, it will be unfair to give you special preferences for employment if we have equal skills here. We all belong to this place. So if you come, we expect you to have got some skills, and based on that skill, if you are better skilled than others, certainly you get it ahead of others. What we're saying is that the oil companies should create more opportunities in line with the local content law, that opportunities be created not only because you are an ex-militant, but because you are a BAYELSA working here, and you have a requisite qualification to engage in meaningful employment or gainful employment. I also agree with you, we need refineries. The refineries, to me, will discourage most of these illegal activities that are there. We are talking of how we can actually fashion how this to engage some of those boys that are working in this illegal refinery so that when they live there, they still have a transition to an organized form of working. It is right, we should have that to get these boys employed. Tree planting, I think the minister has said it so much, and all of us should learn from it. We need green areas. We don't need to interlock the entire town. The trees do quite a lot to people, even the air you breathe. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, the exchange, trees assist. So I totally agree with you. So those of us that building, even in a small compound, should have green areas. At least all we can do for the answering the questions. But on a more general note, I still want to answer some of the issues raised. Boat transportation was a concern raised by one of the speakers. BAYELSA is the only state that you can enter a boat and without reaching land, touch all the local government headquarters. It is the only state. You enter a boat, you don't need to touch land, and you reach all the local government headquarters. So transportation in the boat is of serious concern to us. But again, when you go to talk of manufacturing boat, producing boats, you must also think of sustaining what you have actually produced. And we have perfected the art of this dugout that you see as double-decker boats, and we also would want to improve on them, but at the same time, we'll try to see what are the failures in these boats. So the idea is to improve them gradually so they become part of the system. The maintenance can be enhanced. Because in those days in River State, we used to have some boats, they don't last. They're imported and they don't last. To deriving from what we have, if you can develop it gradually, they can be sustained. So I totally agree with you. They should be updated, but the local technology that we have should be refined to make it more habitable. So on that note, my general remark on this visit. We respect each other more when you come to know each other more. If there is an understanding between us, we move in more in unison. This is a project that has brought the federal government very close to the states. After all of us are talking of development, and I always call myself as a student of development. There are various indices to see whether we are developing or not. So all that we are saying here, if they don't translate to development, then we are failed. That's why I'm congratulating Honorable Minister for coming with this idea and be able to convince the President to approve of your travel to these areas, visit to these areas, to see what we are doing and also to see what the federal government is doing. We hope more of such ideas will come. There will be more understanding between the states and the federal level. Now it is also an opportunity to remind our commissioners that a lot of things happen at the federal level, particularly in terms of policy. Policy that we can key into, policy that we can derive maximum benefit from. And join all of us to always get in touch with their counterparts at the center to see what is happening, so we don't duplicate efforts. We join efforts together, we move together, because at the end, the operative word is development. When we came, we talk of morality. And we always say morality, moral accountability. We say so because moral accountability is a central part of why we are here. We must be accountable to our people. And the truth is that morality itself has history. Morality has history. This is happening. By the time we are judged, the standard they will use in judging us may be far higher than what we are doing here. So in anything that we do, we should know that others will come and say it. But let's do as much as we can to satisfy ourselves. Now to our state. Bayelsa is a very young state, very eager to grow. A lot of criticisms which are accepted, but even when we are criticizing, let's try to be reasonable. I remember listening to someone on the television stating that rather than constructing roads, we are busy dualizing federal government roads. Why should we spend our money on federal government roads? On the television program, I want to tell all Bayelsans that whether it's a federal government road, it's a state road, it's a Bayelsa road. Federal government will not be driving on this road. We shall be driving on these roads. So we have to join our efforts together, tap in from whatever the federal government has, particularly now that we have easy access to the federal level. If we forget our differences and start moving forward, I am telling you, the sky is the limit. We have the opportunity now, we have the support, we have the recognition, and we have the energy. And above all, now Bayelsa has the right leadership. Leadership I enjoin all of you to follow. Leadership that is showing example, whether it is tight hands or no tight hands. What we want is that the money is used well for the benefit of all Bayelsans. I want to congratulate all of you for coming. And I wish those that have come all along from Abuja, God guidance, a safe journey back to their destination. Thank you and God bless.
Let me thank you for your response to all your questions. The Citizens Forum is the high point of the National Good Governance Tour. This is the only opportunity that citizens have to engage us directly so that they can find answers to some of the problems that agitate their hearts. And I am very happy with the level of participation in today's Citizens Forum. Now, some questions were thrown at the federal government. The first question was what was happening to Yenagua-Kolo Road. We went to this road yesterday. The road is ongoing. We saw that the portions of the roads have been completed. And
it is a 33.5 kilometer road. And as at date, we have about 12 kilometers of the road completed up to binder cost level and 4 kilometers up to wearing cost level. I agree that there's been a lull in terms of construction in the past because of but now generous amount have been provided for the project this year's budget. And those who are familiar with that place, they will have seen since the beginning of January construction activity. Now the contractor is comfortable that whatever works he executes, he can be paid for. I can be paid for. Now, let me also state that Bayelsa State has the lowest kilometrage of federal roads in the country. Out of the 171 kilometers gazetted in the Highways Act, only about 80 kilometers are motorable. Out of this is the East-West Road, which has been ceded to the Niger Delta Ministry. So practically, the only two federal roads in Bayelsa are Mbiama, Yenugwa, that's from Igbogene Junction to Yenugwa Town, and then Yenugwe Okaki Kolo Nembe Brass. However, in order to assist the state too, FEMA has been undertaking a lot of routine maintenance work on a lot of state roads. The government bears the mind that Bayelsa has the lowest kilometers of roads in the country. FEMA has been intervening in a lot of state roads to make these roads motorable for people to move about and do their businesses. So on that note, I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
East-West Road.
On East-West Road, like I said previously, that project has been ceded to the Niger Delta Ministry. I cannot give you any concrete thing on that. It's a federal road, quite all right, but it's not under the purview of the Federal Ministry of Works. That road is under the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. So I think they are the ones who are competent to speak on it, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. What I can say on the East-West Road is that that road has, and some other roads, particularly the Kano Meduguri, they have suffered quite some delay. The president last year, at the end of last year, made an intervention through the Shopee program. As we went through that road in Rivers State, we saw renewed vigor and activity. Some portion of the road being done by RCC have been completed, in Rivers State. Also at the Bayelsa end, we are inspecting the road tomorrow, and we'll be able to let you know how far we are going. But definitely, there is renewed activity on the East-West Road, and some of the money is coming from the Shopee program. Government is determined to deliver that road, and by the grace of God, we are going to deliver it. We call for patience, because from this dry season, a lot more activity is going on the East-West Road. Somebody asked about UWIN program. UWIN program is one of the interventions of the federal government to improve youth, give youth employment in the country. The first set of UWIN program has been completed. The awards have been given, and all over the country, those who won have been given between 5 and 10 million naira to start their own businesses. It is an entrepreneur-based program, and all the youths who are trained and they apply through the internet, those that have won the first phase, the money have been disbursed between 5 and 10 million. Over 1,200 youths across the country have benefited in this first phase. The second phase, which is about only for women, is also ongoing. So I want to give you the assurance that the program will go on in phases, and those youths who didn't get in the first phase can still apply when we enter the second phase. The good news is those who won today have employed between 1 and 6 people each in addition to themselves. So the program is already creating young entrepreneurs, and they are now employing other youths in their various businesses. It's a good program, and it is ongoing. Now, there is also the community works program under the Shopee program. This one is to employ 10,000 youths per state. Bayelsa State, please, your own committee has been set up. As I'm speaking to you, the process for the employment of 10,000 youths in Bayelsa State is going on. And I'm calling on the youth of the state to stand up and be part of the process. It will be 10,000 every year for 3 years. So Bayelsa State has 30,000 jobs which are going to come from the Shopee program. Please monitor and know what is going on. And this is happening in all the 36 states and the FCT. Yes, unfortunately, I can tell you that Bayelsa is one of the states that does not have an FM federal radio station. In the last 2 years, we have tried to put it to get this project started. It has been purely because of lack of money. The truth is that because we inherited a very difficult situation, we have had to give priorities to certain sectors of the economy. I want to give you the assurance that we have on our list to get a regional radio station for the South located here in Yenagua, in addition to your own radio station. I want to assure you that before the end of this tunnel, we are going to have those 2 stations located here at Yenagua. The plans have been on, and I can give you this assurance that they will come up. You have to bear with us when we reach there. Now, the person who made the contribution was asking us about the second phase of Bahrain power plant. Now, the most important priority is to finish the first phase. Let us have power first. Because our concern is that the 226 megawatts expected from Bahrain, let them come on stream this year. Once they come on stream, I can tell you that under the NIPP program, the federal government is working to bring on the second phase. As you noted, Bahrain has the highest potential because gas is available. And therefore, the federal government wants to explore the opportunity of the second phase. Our commitment now is to finish the first phase so that when we're generating power from the first phase, it will motivate us to do the second one. So please, Bahrain second phase will come. Our priority is to finish the first phase this year. The problem of the past is that we keep starting things in phases without finishing the first one. We want to complete this one first, and then we'll go on to the second phase. I agree with you that part of the reasons for this good governance is to study the weaknesses that exist so that federal, state, and local government can correct them. One of the weaknesses we have, I believe, is the proper stakeholder ownership of federal projects by the state governments and communities where these projects are being implemented. We have listened to you. I believe states should monitor federal projects in their states to make sure that they are delivered, and there should be a synergy between state ministries and federal ministries. Because when we went to Rivers State and I made an announcement that we have been placing computers in schools in various states, the governor said he was not aware, and it even became a point of argument. The reality is there are many things the federal government is doing in states. Sometimes the states are not aware. We have to close those gaps. That is why every ministry at the state level should have synergy with the ministry at the federal level. I believe that Bayelsa State, having appointed a special advisor on federal projects, has taken the first step. We need to close that gap separately when we return so that that gap should be closed. Somebody said or recommended that the federal government should take over Brass Road and other roads. We have heard you. The National Good Governance Tour cannot make a decision. I have been told that Bayelsa has the least kilometers stock of roads in the country, partly because of your terrain. It is not deliberate. It is because of the terrain of Bayelsa. These projects, federal projects, are ongoing, and I'm sure the purpose of this tour is that when we see areas of difficulties, we can make recommendation. But the state government is in a better position to create that synergy with the federal government to allow those results to take place. But I believe that we're doing quite significant projects in Bayelsa. People should not say there are no projects. There are projects. We agree that in every state we go, every state government keeps saying federal government is not doing enough. It's okay. We went to Rivers, we had those complaints. We have come to Bayelsa, which is the president's own state. We're also having those complaints. All it shows is that state desire more federal intervention. But the federal government is limited by its budget also. We are covering the whole country. We will continue to look into areas of more intervention. And I believe that it is the right of Bayelsa to make this request. We are going to make more intervention as federal budget allows. The dredging of flooded areas, well, we have heard that, and both the state and the federal government could make those interventions. I believe when proper reports are done, the appropriate agencies, which is the Federal Ministry of Transport, should be consulted for such interventions. My advice on the crude refineries that are going on in various communities. I have spoken about this in the past. Agreed that youth have a need for employment. It is very, very dangerous to believe in those crude refineries, because today those refineries are damaging the environment of the Niger Delta more than any other thing. I believe it is important that we understand that there is no shortcut. Shortcut that is damaging the environment is very dangerous. I believe that those involved in it should cooperate with the federal government, should cooperate with the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources and the NNPC to fold those activities. They can be supported in other ways, but the present way of self-help is dealing with the Niger Delta environment. You want to hand over in a land an environment that will sustain other people coming in 500 years' time, coming in 1,000 years' time. If our forefathers destroyed the environment, we will not be alive now. So the future of our children depends on how we treat the environment today. I will appeal that crude refining is not a solution to the local problems, to the national problems. And so I still appeal to you to look into this as a state matter and cooperate with the federal government to close those crude refineries for the future of our communities. I want to believe that when the president wanted to deregulate the downstream sector, we wanted to do so that the private sector can invest. Unfortunately, we still have not been able to convince Nigerians that we have a greater future in a deregulated downstream sector of the economy. We notice also that the subsidy is not working. You are now confirming that in Inagua, apart from NNPC, everybody is selling fuel at 120 naira. But let me tell the people of Bayelsa that for every liter of fuel that you buy, the federal government has subsidized them. We are selling to private distributors at 97 naira. Why are they selling at 120? They are selling at 120 because the process has not worked. Our argument has been that a few people are benefiting from the subsidy, not the ordinary people. But the debate continues. I want to call on all those selling fuel above 120 naira that they should at least be honest citizens. We should not take subsidy from government and sell fuel to people at the market rate. So either way, the citizens of Nigeria are losing. I believe that the debate continues and the federal government will continue to work for the regulated sector that will bring about new refining to stop these illegal refineries and that will propel the growth of the downstream sector, which will create millions of jobs for the people of the Niger Delta. So this again is a reminder that a regulated downstream sector is not working, and we must come to terms with it in the future for a better economy for Nigeria and better opportunities for the people of the Niger Delta. Let me thank you for your attention. Let me thank you for your participation. The tour here has been a great success. I wish the people of Bayelsa well. I wish the Ijaw nation well. God bless you. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.